I've been going through some inner battles.
Inner battles?
Inner head battles.
How so?
Well, over
Explain.
the last, like 5-6 days or so, like
Explain.
I'm trying to get back on track with my eating habits, as you know, and there just always seems to be a loophole in these eating habits. Like, I get
What do you mean a loophole?
Well, I get a text from my brother this morning, Cody, and he's just like, "Hey, you want to get some lunch?" And I'm like, "What? I mean, sure, but yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings are running a deal. All you can eat wings, boneless or bone-in, blah blah blah." And I'm like, dude, I really do want some wings.
Right.
I do. But as he's telling me this, I'm in the sauna.
Yeah.
I'm in the hot tub. Then I go to the pool, and I'm like, man, I'm doing too much good to do bad. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I mean,
there's just so many opportunities for you to eat the food you're trying not to eat. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, there's so many opportunities, and like, I can come home, I can make some chicken, kind of replace that chicken that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
It's obviously a lot more healthier.
Not as fun though.
Holy smokes, man. Like, it just never ends.
Isn't that true though, that it's kind of harder? I don't know. For me, at least,
And it's hard to say no, though.
The beginning part is the hardest though, if you're trying to change how you're eating or whatever. And then once you've been going strong for like 30 days, it's almost hard to eat. You know what I mean? Like once you have a really consistent streak, it's like
getting going.
Almost hard to even eat the bad stuff again because I don't know what it is about that.
No,
but that's how it is for me.
That's how I remember it was like a year and a half ago when you and I did that. We finally said and committed, and we did like one day a week. We'd go out and get something like to eat outside of what we made at home and prepared at home and meal prepped in. And it made it hard to want to get off of it once you've done it for so long.
Once you're so consistent, whether it's like no sugar at all or whatever it is, like it's hard at first, but then once you actually like completely detox from it, I feel like your body doesn't want it so much.
Yeah. And so I'm like just ready to get there, but I got to realize it takes time. And when you've done stuff to your body, like personally over the last year, 8 months at least, like you've just developed really bad habits, and that's where I'm at. So getting out of the habit, out of the routine is the big priority right now. Yeah. And I think you know that. And we were talking about though, like rest, right? Like how's your rest been going for you?
Very bad. My rest has been horrible.
Well, like doing less tasks, not like rest isn't sleep.
Oh, sleep. My sleep has been very bad.
Yeah, your sleep has been terrible. You wake me up, and I'm like, dude, I
literally
can't
could
go back to bed now.
It's horrible.
But like your rest is in like life, like your tasks, your to-do list. Have you minimalized like you've been wanting to do?
For sure. I've really, really pulled back, and I mean, this has been a big theme in my business for a long time. Is just extreme simplifying. I feel like even in my life, like I got rid of, we don't have a lot of extra clutter stuff, but I even earlier like this week got rid of things, and I was going through like our daughter's drawers, and like I got rid of like all her socks that don't match. Like I got rid of so many things, and it just feels so good to get rid of things. Like if you're ever questioning like, should I get rid of this or should I not? Yes. Okay. Like the answer is always just get rid of it. Like you can, worst case scenario, get another one if you ever need it in the future. Like it just feels so good to get rid of things. I could go on about that, but
that's something we have had.
But as far as like simplifying goes, I feel like that's been a big theme for a while, but I've really simplified my business to where I know exactly, like laser clear focus. I know exactly where my business comes from, where not just my business comes from, but the only kind that I really want to work with. I know exactly where they come from. I know exactly what to do, and I'm not doing anything else. I cut out everything else out of my business life and schedule. And so that's been like a theme or something I've done, I guess you could say, over the last few years, but even more so like just this last week, I just told Spencer, I was like, I don't know. I feel like there's times when you're like, my body is feeling extra tired. I'm feeling extra tired. And maybe it's the combination of not getting good sleep at night with trying to not just overcompensate with like all the caffeine all day long. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the line? But then it's like crazy. I feel like even just it's not like our daughter's doing that many activities, but it's like all the life things on top of each other, you know, now like weekends are busy and just everything. I feel like I just needed like a week to just pull back, which is one reason I'm so thankful for our business, because obviously it would be a lot harder to do that if you weren't in real estate, because I can pass on like clients and stuff to you that I don't want to work with. So I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I can get my rest. But anyway,
at the end of the day though, I mean, there is something where like you as an individual, we're not like life coaches by any means, but like we like have to take inventory of ourselves.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so I think like years ago we did a podcast about like self-care and self-help.
Oh my gosh, wait. We did that when it was on the radio, but what did we even say about I don't honestly remember.
You have to take inventory of yourself.
I don't remember that.
It's almost like a selfish topic, but it's not at all, because if you want to be a high functioning quality human being, whether it's in the workplace or in the real world, whether you're at the grocery store or in the car, and you're not getting road rage, like how good can you take care of yourself to not get to these points? Because once you get to this burnout phase, and I'm pretty sure we've all been hearing of that keyword term. I mean, burnout is a real thing, but ultimately I don't think it's really a product of your environment. I really think it's your daily habits of what you're putting yourself through in order to get to that point. It's like this balloon that keeps airing up, and then it bursts, right? So there's this self-care aspect, but ultimately let's jump into what this week's show, because we can go down
all
this
of this
tangent
just
here.
Has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but that's okay.
It does, because this is life. This
Everything
is life. You sit down and you know, you gotta be open and not be Mr. Know-It-All. I think that's one of the fun things in this life, and the journey that like I've been really appreciating is just sitting down and listening, because I've been talking to a lot of older people, a lot of people that have lived more life than me, and we specialize in listings, or at least I do. You're more the buyer directory, but I'm like sitting down, I'm like, how did you get to where you are now? Like, please just give me like this one thing of advice. And it's been pretty insightful if you're willing to actually take in what they're saying.
I love that. You can definitely learn from your home seller clients, because I just remember so many conversations that I had when I was focusing on listings earlier in my real estate business. And so I feel like I learned so much from my home seller clients, investor clients, that I'm so grateful for. Yeah. Okay, so guys, what we're going to talk about today is the fact that we bought our house at a bad time in the housing market, according to many, many folks. When we bought our house this previous time, and honestly, it was kind of the same. All of the times that we have bought the primary residence that we were living in, all of those times in the past, it was during a time when there were headlines saying don't buy, we're at the top of the market, all of that. But all that aside, let's just park on this last time in particular. When we bought our house, we had many well-meaning, very wise individuals from all sorts of places telling us, you guys should hold on to your cash, because we had a lot of cash at the time from selling the last place that we bought. The house we bought before that, we happened to buy it at this crazy time in history, to where literally living there for, what was it, like a year, it appreciated more, like insane amount. We didn't touch it. It was even a townhouse, and everyone says townhouses don't appreciate. It was insane. You could never guess the amount that it appreciated, and the money that we made from this. We did not plan this. Like, we were just blessed. However, we had a lot of cash from that, savings, whatever. We just had a lot of like cash to invest in our next house. We wanted to put like a huge amount down, whatever. And we had many well-meaning people say, sit on your cash, don't spend it, wait, because it's gonna go a lot further if you wait. And I just want to talk about what it looked like when we bought then, and what it would have looked like if we would have waited, like people said to wait, because we received an email from our CRM system, some random individual in our CRM system,
which we get a lot.
Yes. An old lead, Spencer or our AI assistant, someone sent out a big blast email to all the people in our CRM systems, like old buyer leads, whatever. And someone responded saying, I'm waiting to buy. I'm still waiting to buy until the market drops. And so that's why it just reminded me of this situation. And I was like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, no, because that is something very, very true. I mean, a lot of people reply like that. Like a lot of buyers, but sellers too. Like they're waiting for their next move. It's like reading the stocks, right? Like you're anticipating just only taking out when it's high and then buying when it's low. And
Yeah.
I mean, we have our personal experiences. I'm sure you do too. And, are we lucky? Are we these economist experts? I'm going to tell you no on either side. We just have feelings internally that we go with our guts and instincts and to what's best for us. Yeah. But ultimately, like the way we look at it is you and I's relationship. I think our marriage and our relationship and where we're at in that point of life is ultimately the directions that we go. Whether that's selling a property, Airbnb a property, investing in a rental property. It's just something that you really need to discuss with your partner. And if you have kids, what's going to be best for them in the long run, short run, and ultimately go with your gut. That's one of my biggest words of advice.
That's really good. I didn't even think about talking about that as far as this topic goes, but that's very true. Every single time I keep saying every single time like we bought all these properties. We have not.
We've had 4.
We bought 4 properties, but we've had 3 homes that we've lived in. So like, in the span of our marriage, like
been married going on 8 years now.
8 years. Almost about to be 8 years this month, I think, whatever. And oh my gosh, wait, our anniversary is Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, I recognize that.
That's soon. Sorry, I didn't get you anything.
Monday, actually.
Anyway, it's Monday. Okay. Well, anyway, I lost my train of thought. Every time, all these times that we have purchased in the past, the only reason we've bought has been because of a gut feeling. And it's never been like, I talk to so many people because everyone wants to talk to me about like their home dreams, what they want to do someday, when they want to buy again, just because I'm in real estate and I love it and I want to hear about it. So tell me about your home dreams and what you're going to want to do. But everyone always wants to talk to me about that.
Which that's our job. We're here to listen.
It's funny though to me because I'm like, you're planning like 5 years out when you're going to sell your house and buy another one. Every single time we've bought or moved in general, it has been no plans of moving at all. And then literally that changes in like 5 minutes, like a 5-minute car ride conversation, or like we both wake up and we're like, this is what we need to do. We know 1,000%. We just know that we know that we know. And we do it. And it has worked out so good. I don't think we realized this at the time, but every single time we followed our gut and bought and sold when it was time, we were so like the townhouse, the insane amount of equity, because that 1 year happened to be when homes appreciated more than in history. And then the house before that, we had way more equity than we deserved as well. Go ahead.
Do you think when we bought the townhouse, did we buy that at a good deal? Because I remember we thought it was.
It wasn't a good deal at the time. No, it wasn't a good deal. It was a good deal.
But it was on market for quite some time. I think we got our closing costs paid for, which was awesome.
We paid ask price, I think.
But we also included closings get paid for.
Oh, so we paid.
And you got a commission off of it.
We paid a little over ask price because of the closing maybe, or I don't know. I don't remember, honestly.
No, I remember at ask price. Okay. Because we walked away with 100 just over 2.5 years later, which is insane. But the point of that is, why was that townhouse still available? Because everything in that area that we bought in sold within weeks or a month.
It's true. I know why it was available.
Why?
I know exactly why, because the same reason I didn't even want to look at it. Again, we just had a gut feeling that we should look at it, even though we knew that it sucked, because the pictures sucked. Like, I'm telling you, these pictures, I don't know who the heck the listing agent was.
Right,
they did not do professional photos. Okay, that's why.
It was in a different MLS area.
The listing agent was in the wrong MLS, and they just used him because he was like a discount agent or something. Yes. Don't use a discount agent. Not only was he not marketing it in the correct MLS system because it was a discount agent, but we also got a discount. Well, not a discount, but it was the only one still for sale, and we ended up getting to buy it because their pictures sucked because he was a discount agent again. He was investing money into it. Yeah, but he was also a discount agent. I remember that. He was a discount agent.
It was funny talking to this guy because he worked for the seller, but ultimately he just wanted to get the job done and the home sold. So he kind of went along and did everything we asked him, even through the inspection period, which was pretty remarkable. That's one takeaway I remembered, because that was in the era where I had just got my real estate license. So I was following the transaction and learning how him as a listing agent operated. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is almost too easy. Am I just a really good master negotiator? Yeah. No, but that is why I tell every seller that I go in and do a listing appointment with, it's not every agent's the same. Not every agent,
No.
honestly, like they should, has your best interest. Are they good at negotiations, or are they just like a yes man and try to get you to sign that document saying,
for
hey,
real.
sign off so we can move forward in escrow?
And this house, another reason I didn't want to see it, I remember, is because it was a rental. So it looked horrible in the pictures. And when we got there in person, we were pleasantly so surprised, and we knew immediately it was it. But that's so rare. Like usually it's the opposite where it looks better in the pictures. And then it was a rental. So I just assumed like, oh, that's just usually maybe a bad sign. The renters were gone though.
I just feel like we're talking a lot about us though.
Anyway, okay.
let's talk about like the market. So anybody watching this can understand like, oh, when is it a good time to buy? When should I not buy? What's these key points that you brought up?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Go from there.
This is the main point. We received a message from our CRM system saying, I'm still waiting for home prices to drop. We were told on to your money and don't buy last time we bought, which was, what year was it? 2021 too?
It was like literally in the height of COVID.
21 or 2.
Yeah, it's a pandemic era.
Okay,
so
but it wasn't 2020.
It was spring, summer, because we closed in November. So it was summertime.
During
2021.
During this time, it was a housing market where, you know, a lot of people were paying over ask price. Like homes had appreciated so much that it did seem insane. However, if we would have waited, we would have a higher payment because interest rates are higher, and I don't see them going back that low.
We were young enough, we never truly understood what interest rates meant, to be honest.
We really didn't feel the impact of how much a little bit of an interest rate could impact our payment ourselves. We never felt that, even though we'd obviously bought and sold before. We've helped many people buy and sell. We still hadn't felt that impact ourselves, and that makes such a difference. So interest rates, and then on top of that, home prices have only gone up since then. And that's the moral of the story, is that nobody can time the market. However, there are no signs. Every single expert is saying homes are still expected to appreciate. There is no indicator that it is just like home prices can all of a sudden drop, because you guys, it's supply and demand. It doesn't make any logical sense for home prices to just randomly drop right now. And everyone's pointing back to, well, it happened in 08, so it's going to happen again. And that's not the way that things work. Only one time out of all the recessions that have happened since like they've tracked it in like the 30s or 40s has home prices actually dropped in a recession, for one. And then two, we all know eventually they're going to go back up because like inflation, homes are never going to be $7,000 again. Things are over time going to keep going up. That's just the way it is. And then third, I had a third point.
I don't think you did.
No, I did have a third point. It was very important. It was very important. I think it had to do with, there was no indicator that home prices are just going to drop because that happened in 2008. Well, guess what? Things are not happening right now that were happening in 2008. There is a good, strong reason why home prices just dropped and why all of that craziness happened, and that gave so many people real estate trauma, and now people are scared to invest in real estate. Some people. But those things are not happening now. That's not the way that it is. So nobody can time the market. The best time to buy is when it makes sense to you. As long as you can afford your payment, your future self will be thankful that you chose to buy real estate instead of buy real estate and wait, because the perfect time isn't coming. Life-wise, isn't that always true when it's never like the perfect time life-wise? Like things never are just lining up like that if you're waiting for the perfect time for anything. But also the market's like that too, because guess what? Right now, we're in a housing market where you could say it's a bad time to buy for many reasons, but you could also say it's a good time to buy because we're writing offers under ask price. People are getting their closing costs paid for. Like there's pros and cons no matter the housing market. Yeah. So I'm going to just stop talking about that.
Let me share something though. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in a listing appointment. He's currently for sale by owner. He's here local. He has loads of money. He just sold off a business probably 5 years ago, literally worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He was the developer of this business, and it was actually in the aviation world. And I thought that was pretty cool to hear. But after talking with him, I said, because he had lived in the same property for about 20 years now, 25 years. And I saw what he had purchased it at, and then now what he's trying to sell it at. And I said, well, hey, this is a pretty good investment, huh? Just living here and, you know, doing the fixes, the routine maintenance, doing a couple remodels. And he said, no. And it kind of caught me off guard because I figured, you know, dude, you're making like over $600,000 on this one home sale over 20 years. I just didn't understand where he like didn't realize how investing in real estate got him this X amount of money after the sale. For me, it was hard for me to comprehend. And he said, well, if you look at it like in the stocks and where I could have invested elsewhere and blah, blah, blah. So he was a woulda, coulda, shoulda guy.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, I get that. What if I invested in Bitcoin, right when it came out and I still have my one Bitcoin? Yeah. Great. I have $100,000 sitting there. Yeah. The whole point is in today's housing market, you have gone through one of the highest equity growth markets you might ever see in your whole entire lifetime. And so while we've been talking over the last 15, 20 minutes is we've given true life experiences of us starting to where we're at now, four purchases later, not many for some. Yeah. And every time, whether it was the right time, a bad time, an uncertain time, we still made something of profit. I'm seeing individuals that bought 2 years ago. And this was, I would say, at the peak and height of a market when interest rates were near 7.5%, even approaching 8%. And I've seen people with 8% interest rates, and it's quite wild. But that's what's going to affect your mortgage. They're still being able to sell their property at what they bought it for and more, because year over year we've increased 3%. 3%. So if you just look at that, you bought 2 years ago, just think about, my home's worth nearly 6% more at minimum than I bought it for 2 years ago, which to me is a great healthy market. It's not 8, it's not 12% year over year growth like it was over the last 8 years, but 3% is still not bad. And if you're looking into the future, 2026, 2027, they're expected to grow at least 4% in equity growth. Mm-hmm. That to me is a healthy housing market. Now, if you're looking at here in Oregon specifically, why isn't housing going to go down in price? Why wouldn't it go down, Spencer? Well, I can tell you what, the government right now, they're trying to pass bills. They're trying to pass laws. Trees, for instance. What are homes made out of? Wood. Okay, well, our state is trying to propose bills that's going to increase taxes, but ultimately take away a lot of the forest industry, but ultimately try and keep it a homegrown. If you look at that, a homegrown forest industry, so we will be using local lumber. Well, as you and I both know, sometimes local is more expensive. That's not a bad thing, because you have to have employment. You're looking at the state of Oregon. You're looking at taxes. You're looking at all those rates of goods. Okay. So us individually here in Oregon, if we're trying to keep it in-house, it's going to, I would say and suggest, be just as much, if not more. Okay. And for you existing homeowners, that's going to be hard on you. I think you're going to have more higher payments. And I'm not going to get all political and get into the government and those type of things. But what I am trying to say is, if you are scared of, if I buy at this price, will I be able to get my money back? Yeah.
Or what everyone just says, like, I'm not paying this for that, or it's overpriced, or it's like,
what does that mean?
We have to stop looking at houses and thinking that a house that's now has a $700,000 price tag should have a $400,000 price tag. You know what I mean? Just because that's maybe how it was when you grew up. Like,
no, my brother makes me laugh.
The world has
changed.
Changed.
Every time we talk about real estate, my brother, he said, I can't, I wouldn't pay that much for that. I'm like, well, that's what you're wanting.
Yeah.
So are you going to have to change an expectation, or are you just going to have to give in to the price? Because I can tell you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, you're going to be paying, if not that price, another price that's higher. And so what's in it for you right now? Like, what do you want to do? If you have all the money, if you have a current property and you want to get from point A to point B, I'm telling you right now could be a great time to get into that. There is no right market for you.
No.
Because everybody's job situation is different.
Yeah.
Some people's got $100,000, some people's got $100. Yeah. Everybody's different.
No, it's so true. And it always reminds me back, I think back to that story that we were told a long time ago now at a real estate conference or meeting or something when we were earlier on in our business. And the story was about, it was the metaphorical story. Is that the right word? Yeah. 2 school teachers that live in San Francisco, and this is like the 80s, and one of them buys a house or condo, probably there, or townhouse, something, a row house, and the other keeps on renting. And then when they retire, who has the higher net worth? Who is the millionaire? Who is the $1 million? You know what I mean? Yeah. Who's a multimillionaire because of their prices? Who has that net worth? And their payment the one who bought, her payment stays the same, while the one who's renting, not only does she not have an asset, not only does she not have any equity, but her payment's only gone up and up and up. because the rent goes up and up and up, and that's just the way that it is.
That was a really good comparison, though.
And I also just want to add, like you were talking about with like getting a good deal and all of that. While there's nothing wrong with that, and that it makes sense. I just think of all the people that I've talked to. Like you've said, you've talked to so many home sellers and investors that we've worked with over the years that have given us some wisdom just through conversations we've had with them, which is such a blessing to get to have at like 18 years old in your early 20s. Like that is the best education you could get, is getting to talk to these seller clients, I believe. And they were not, the ones that were not wealthy because they got such good deals in real estate. They were buying houses like $30,000 under ask price. Yeah. No, it was because they just bought.
They just did.
And maybe like us, like we had some really great times in real estate, like great returns, I guess, from the homes that we bought and sold. Not because none of them we bought like this huge under ask price. No, we paid the fair market price, and they were overpriced at a time when everyone said homes are overpriced, but we just bought and then we hold until it's time to sell. And you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the whole point. So before we end, I just have a few statistics to share if anyone's still on the fence about owning real estate, because
I love it.
This is episode's getting a little long. Okay. So real estate is the safest investment there is. And gosh, I'm not even going to say the statistic because I'm going to butcher it, but whatever percentage of millionaires that have been made millionaires through real estate, it's like very, very high. Very, very high. Okay. Strong historical returns, consistent growth. Real estate investments have historically offered robust returns. The average annual return for real estate investments stands at 10.6%. While real estate investment trusts have delivered an average annual return of 11.55% over the past 20 years. Outperformance of S&P 500. Real estate as a wealth building tool. Home equity growth. U.S. homeowners collectively hold over $35 trillion in home equity. And generational wealth. Homeowners tend to accumulate 40 times more wealth than renters, emphasizing real estate's importance in building lasting financial security. For those considering real estate as an investment, current market conditions present viable options for long-term financial opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like what's happening, like Warren Buffett, right? He always says, well, I mean, buy high or sell high, buy low, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's cool is if you're sitting on some type of financial gain right now, whether that's your current investment, you're wanting to sell in order to purchase, you have some type of financial gain. Read the market, because right now we are being able to submit offers not at ask price, but by far under ask price, getting closing costs paid for, buyer's agents' commissions are paid for through the seller, and getting you the deal to save you tens of thousands of dollars. Because there are some markets where you and I have both lived through now, you're paying 20, 30, 40, I've even written offers $50,000 over ask price with appraisal gaps, with free inspections, free and clear, as is, done, boom. That's like a straight ticket to escrow. And you know what? I would rather be buying in a market like this any day than the market that we even bought in previously 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just something where you don't know what's going to happen. You better just hang on for the ride. And if your mortgage makes sense, make sure you can make that payment until you can get through it.
Yeah.
We're through it. We're through it from that 4-year period. Yeah. So this is the new normal, like I predicted.
Yeah.
If you go back in our videos, I predicted this in 2021, 2022.
You did.
This is the new normal, guys.
Yeah.
Just buckle up. This is what it is, okay? As a gangster would say.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Let's all invest in real estate. And if you need help, our contact information is in the description below, and we're happy to help. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because we come on here every single week. And you can also subscribe over on Spotify with the link in the description, and we'll see you next week.